This is Frank Reese from KeepCalmRebuy.com, here with the first video of the 1,000 Hand Challenge. This is NL10 using the default strategy, our first buy-in. The default short stack strategy is a very tight, very aggressive strategy designed for 30 big blind play. It fits on one sheet that is available on the website, KeepCalmRebuy.com. Click the link in the description. All hands for this first session were played with no raise before us, so we used this part of the default strategy. That's right, I posted something virtually every expert recommends against, but I frequently post for reasons described in the book, Poker Winner to Poker Beginner in 1,000 Hands. Click on the link in the description to buy it from Amazon or from my website. For this first video only, I'm going to show you every hand. In future videos, I'll only show you the hands in which I VPIP, but I thought it was important for you to get a feel of watching hand after hand go by, folding, folding, folding. Here we have 10-Jack offsuit, a hand many beginners are tempted to play. Beginners are also tempted to play hands with only one high card, such as King 5. All of these hands we're passing by, waiting for a hand that we can make money off of. As the poker gods would have it, we happen to get a premium hand very early in the session. Ace-King is playable in any position. And under the default tight aggressive strategy, we play for all in pre-flop if we can. Under this strategy, we raise 4 big blinds plus 1 big blind for every limper. We have no limpers, so we raised 40 cents for big blinds. Had we been playing 19 or 29 hands instead of 9, we might expect to get folds from our first raise. But with only 9 hands played so far, we haven't established a tight table image. Let's see if anyone comes along. Everyone in position folds, and the small blind decides to come along. I think it's fair to say that this flop is favorable. We have top pair, nut kicker, and we also have the nut flush draw. For either one of those, a strong draw or top pair, we're going to raise 3/4 of the pot. And in this case, we get a fold. Only a few hands later, we're dealt Ace-Jack. Ace-Jack is not playable in all positions, but on the button, it's definitely playable. Following the protocol, we raise 4 times the big blind, plus 1 big blind for every limper. We have 1 limper, 2 limpers, and of course, I raise to 50 cents. That would be a bit of a misclick. Nothing that's going to be earth-shattering. I'll have to give full credit to my dogs at the end of the video. Player number 8 contemplates, and folds the small blind, and the big blind folds. See if anyone comes along. One of the limpers fold, one of the limpers comes along. And sure enough, we are dealt top pair, strong kicker, and we are going to use our standard 75% raise and get a fold. If you've read the book and you're taking the 1,000 Hand Challenge, I encourage you to think of these 10 buy-ins at the default strategy as something of an experiment. If you have a misclick like the one I just had, that's not going to affect the validity of the results. But if you find yourself adjusting when you're not supposed to be, then you're really not giving the default strategy a fair chance. As a spoiler alert, we are going to sit through several hands that won't be playable, so we'll be practicing our folding skills over the next dozen hands or so. After about a dozen hands, you may start to think, my image must be really tight by now. I should come in for a bluff. That's a great way to think when you're playing the adjusted strategy. While we're playing the default strategy for 10 buy-ins, we are going to stick with the strategy exactly. This particular hand, Jack 10 suited, is playable. However, it's not playable in mid position, which is where we find ourselves now. So pretty as that hand is, we go ahead and fold it. And now the poker gods play their favorite trick on me. Having turned down a hand that looked playable, they gave me a similar hand, slightly worse, often in slightly worse position. Jack 10 suited we could play here in the small blind, playing for folds. However, 9-8 suited, we're going to go ahead and toss. Again, once we start adjusting, we might widen our range to include a hand like this in the small blind. But for now, we're playing the default strategy with fidelity. Goodbye, 9-8 suited. And here's what we could have gotten. Probably the silliest words ever spoken in poker. What I could have gotten. Yes, we could have gotten trips. Should we have held on to that hand because we could have gotten trips? If so, we should hold on to every hand because every hand could get trips. It was a good fold. Let's move on. Hope we get another playable hand soon. And we are now on hand number 42. And if you notice our timer in the lower right hand corner, we have been playing for 1 hour. The default strategy calls for you to leave the table if you've been playing for an hour and still haven't reached 50 big blinds or drop below 20 big blinds. Since this was the first video of the first session, I went ahead and let it run for a few minutes, hoping against hope I might see a playable hand. And we are rewarded hand number 46 with King Queen on the cutoff, a playable hand in that position. King Queen is playable in the blinds, the button, or the cutoff. Let's see if anyone else wants to play also. We get one limper. So we raise 4 big blinds plus 1 big blind for the limper. And the limper folds, so we don't even see a flop with this hand. At this point, we're well over an hour of play with no significant action, so we're going to sit out the next big blind and get off the table. In the few hands remaining between now and the big blind, if we get aces or kings, we'll play them. Otherwise, we'll let it go by. Next, we're in the big blind, so this will be our last hand of this session. Now it's our last fold of the session. If you haven't been keeping count, that was hand number 50. Nice round number to end the session with. During the session, we played 50 hands. We played for 1.2 hours, and we made a profit of 40 cents. Getting into the big money now. And of course, another chance for us to play Look What I Would Have Flopped. So what should we do with this information about the hands, the hours, and the winnings of this session? We could try memorizing it, but a better plan might be to use the Keep Calm and Rebuy win rate calculator. This win rate calculator is available for free at www.keepcalmrebuy.com/downloads. And we're going to go ahead and personalize this. This is the 1,000 hand challenge. We are at 10 and L, and we're doing the default strategy. At the date the game was played, the session was played, the location, meaning what website, which for me is almost always Bovada. We played for 1.2 hours. We played 50 hands, and we made a whopping 40 cents. The spreadsheet does the rest for you. We won 4 big blinds. Over in our cumulative, it will be the same this time. 1.2 hours, 50 hands, 4 big blinds, which comes to 3.3 big blinds per hour and 33 cents an hour. Our big blinds per 100 hands, often thought of as a key statistic for online play, is 8. 8 big blinds per 100 hands. Like and subscribe, and click the notifications bell to be notified of upcoming videos. Up next will be the default strategy 2 through 10.